Right, so I lived in Scotland and I felt so hard for the place that when I moved back home, I started a travel company just so I had an excuse to keep going back. I spent years building trips up there and guiding my own groups around the country from Edinburgh all the way up into the Highlands. So this isn't me telling you what I read in a guidebook. This is the stuff I learned the hard way, the stuff my guests were always surprised by, and a few things I really wish someone had told me before my first trip to Scotland. A lot of people assume you need to rent a car to see the Highlands. You don't. One of the most beautiful train journeys in the world starts in Glasgow and runs right up through one of the most incredible parts of this planet. It's called the West Highland Line, and about halfway up it crosses the Glenfinnan Viaduct. You'll recognize it instantly. It's the bridge the Hogwarts Express crosses in the Harry Potter films. The line ends in a little fishing town called Mallaig, where you can hop straight onto a ferry over to the Isle of Skye, which we'll talk about in a minute. If you do rent a car, throw your expectations out the window, because Scotland may look small on a map, but once you're up in some parts of the Highlands or on the islands, the roads turn into single lanes with little passing places every few hundred meters. You know, you pull in, you let the other car through, and you wave, they wave, everyone's lovely about it, and it's beautiful, but a drive that looks like an hour on a map can easily take 2 or 3 hours. Don't try to do the whole country in 3 days. You know, you'll spend the entire trip in the car and see none of it properly. In Edinburgh and Glasgow, you've got thousands of beds, so you can be a bit more relaxed. Everywhere else in Scotland, book early, like really early. A lot of these Highland towns and island villages have maybe just a handful of places to stay, and they do fill up months in advance over summer. If you got a route planned, you know, lock in your accommodation before you do anything else. And I will put some of my all-time favorite hotels in Scotland in the description below. We've all done it, you know, seen a place online, got excited, then turned up and gone, oh, is that it? Edinburgh is not that. If anything, the photos undersell it. You've got a medieval old town built up a hill, a castle sat on top of an extinct volcano, and these dark, narrow closes running off the Royal Mile that feels like stepping back 400 years. I lived there and I never once got bored of just walking around in Edinburgh, and it's the rare place that's actually better in person. There's a rivalry here nobody warns you about. Edinburgh is the postcard. It is gorgeous, it's grand, it's the one everyone visits, but ask a Scot where the real energy is and a lot of them will point you to Glasgow. Glasgow's got the better music scene, the better nightlife, and some of the best live gigs in the UK. When I lived in Edinburgh, I had to go over to Glasgow all the time for gigs, and I loved every second over there. Glasgow is an incredible place. Edinburgh's where you take your parents, and Glasgow's where you actually go out. I've brought a lot of groups up here over the years, and the thing that gets every single one of them is just how warm Scottish people are. And to be honest, if you come up through England first, the difference is going to hit you like a truck. Bless the English, they are really lovely, especially up north. But if you came straight from London up to bonny Scotland, you're in for a nice surprise. Suddenly everyone's chatting away to you and you can't work out what you've done to deserve it. And a wee heads up, if a Scot is winding you up, you're in, you know, that's them liking you. One of the best things you can do in Scotland is go to the pub. And I don't mean to get hammered, I mean the pub is where the country actually comes together, especially in the smaller towns where the local pub is basically the living room of the whole village. So when you go to the local pub, Be friendly towards the regulars, maybe sit at the bar on your own, and within 10 minutes someone will probably be talking to you, or you can start chatting with the barman. Then you'll get the best food tips in the area and the best walking routes and just the best stories from a stranger over a pint in this awesome little pub. You might think the kilt is just a thing they wheel out for photos. It's not. Scots actually wear them. Go to any Scottish wedding and half the men will be in full dress. It's formal wear here, you know, the equivalent of a tuxedo. So if you see a group of lads in kilts on a Saturday, they are not doing it for you. They are probably going to a wedding. The Isle of Skye gets talked about a lot, and sometimes when a place is that hyped, it lets you down. The Isle of Skye doesn't. It's all dramatic mountains, waterfalls, and these strange rock formations that look like something out of a fantasy film. The catch is, everyone knows it now, so the famous spots get busy. My tip is to stay overnight on the island instead of doing it as a day trip, and honestly you could easily spend a week alone on the Isle of Skye. You've seen the photos, the big ginger cows with the massive horns and the fringe hanging over their eyes. They are called Highland cattle or hairy coos if you want to sound local. And they are everywhere up north, just stood in fields looking majestic and slightly confused perhaps. They are ridiculously photogenic and weirdly chilled out, but they are still big animals with big horns, so maybe don't go climbing into a field to cuddle one for an Instagram photo. Alright, here's the one that will annoy some people, I guess. Loch Ness is overrated. There, I said it, it's a very long, very deep and very dark lake, and that's kind of it, I'm afraid. As far as I know, there's not even a monster, and the visitor stuff around the lake is pretty tacky and it just feels old and not nice. Scotland has hundreds of lochs that are far more beautiful. If you got the time to spare and you want to see Loch Ness, fine, but maybe don't build your whole trip around Nessie. You will probably be a bit underwhelmed. Let me warn you about the midges. They are tiny biting flies, smaller than a pinhead, and in the Highlands in summer they swarm in clouds of thousands. They don't really hurt as such, but they will drive you completely bloody insane. They are worse from June to August, near water and on muggy evenings with no wind, so bring proper midge repellent. I think the locals swear by one called smidge. I know what you've heard. We've all heard it. It's a sheep's stomach stuffed with all the bits you don't want to think about. But haggis is delicious. Have it the proper way with neeps and tatties. That's mashed turnip and potato. Don't overthink it. Just order it once. There's a bright orange fizzy drink here called Iron Brew, and Scots are obsessed with it. It's one of the only countries on earth where a local soft drink goes properly toe to toe with Coca-Cola, which tells you something. Nobody can really describe the flavor. I guess it's sort of sweet, sort of citrusy with a weird little hint of metal. It's their other national drink after whiskey, and it's the unofficial cure here for a hangover. Scotland's national animal is a unicorn, an actual mythical unicorn. You'll start spotting it everywhere once you look, carved onto buildings, on flags and on official crests all over the country. The story goes, I think, that it was chosen because the unicorn was seen as a proud and untamable beast, which is a very Scottish thing to want as your symbol. Do not rely on an umbrella in Scotland. It rains, of course, but it's the wind that gets you. The rain always comes sideways and your umbrella will be inside out and dead within about 4 seconds. What you actually need is a proper waterproof jacket with a hood, and honestly guys, pack for 4 seasons even in the summertime, because you really can get all 4 in a single afternoon up here in Scotland. Alright, if you've been to Scotland, I want to hear it. What surprised you the most and what would you add to this list? Let me know in the comments, because that will also help someone planning their first trip.